Hello, my name is Jack Deverson, Managing Director at EBE, the team behind the Great Teaching Toolkit. In this video, I aim to answer three common questions. Firstly, what is the GTT? And then why should I use it? And how do I use it? So first off, if we answer the question, what is the GTT then? If we acknowledge that the quality of teaching is the most important factor that we can affect in improving student outcomes, it follows that we should invest time in improving it. So the GTT is an all-in-one professional development platform for teachers, for schools and colleges, and for groups alike. It's a set of courses, tools, and information to help teachers become even greater. Why should you use it? Well, first and foremost, it's grounded in robust evidence. And here you can see the model for great teaching, which outlines 17 elements across 4 dimensions. It's these things which teachers know and do that are shown by research to improve student outcomes. As the GTT focuses solely on these 17 things, you can be sure that by doing something within the toolkit, you're taking a best bet approach to improving something that's likely to make a difference to student outcomes. Secondly, there's a community of other great teachers around the world, and at the time of recording, more than 14,000 teachers have access to the GTT, and this is growing by the month. And thirdly, don't just take our word for it. Other teachers and leaders like you are doing it and think it's great. You can see a couple of snippets here from blogs that are on our website. And also, Julie's comment here on social media is just one example of schools and groups that are using the Great Teaching Toolkit to really good effect. So what are the tools that make up the Great Teaching Toolkit then? Within the platform, every user can access a suite of courses and programs, from short ones focused on a single element of the model, right through to a full lead program, which is designed to support senior and middle leaders drive department or even whole staff-wide change. Secondly, you can use development cycles to identify, set and track your goals, reflecting on your practice in the classroom at each stage. Thirdly, you can visit the CPD Passport, where your activities in the GTT platform are saved to give you a career-long record of professional development. And here you can also log other non-GTT activities, such as reading books, attending conferences, in-person inset days, listening to podcasts, etc. Fourthly, we've got a suite of student surveys. So from a full GTT profile, which covers every element in the model for great teaching, through to dimension level and even element level surveys, as this one here for element 3.1. This is an example of an element level one, which is a short evidence-based snapshot, which can gather and leverage real insight from your students who are a key stakeholder in your teaching. Next, we've got the video observation area, which is in partnership with our friends at VEO. And with this, you can use nothing more than a smartphone or an iPad to film a short snippet of your teaching. We recommend just 5 minutes at first to get the feel for it. And then you can tag your video, comment, you can share it with a trusted colleague if you choose to. And in this way, you can give and receive feedback and share snippets of great practice. It supports a robust observation system in schools. And we've also got a Great Teaching Toolkit community, so you can ask questions of our team and crucially of those 14,000 other users around the world. Here you can share and access examples of great practice in your phase, subject or context, and pose questions of other people who are in the same position as you. For school and college leaders, obviously you can access all of the features we've mentioned before at a teacher level. But as well as those things, you can also set up a school environment and leadership survey and access feedback, what your teachers think about the school environment that you've created or you are building. This survey is underpinned by the review you can see here, the evidence review, the link to which I'll put in the description of this video. Leaders can also manage teachers who have access in their school, setting up teams, team leaders, and even assistant coordinators who can do all of the same things that the school or college leader can. They can also access some aggregated data from the student surveys. Now, we never share individual teachers' feedback so that personal data isn't compromised in that way, but once enough teachers have done a student survey, the leader can see a whole school picture that's aggregated again so that they can start to identify perhaps some skills gaps or some areas of real strength that you want to build on. And in a similar way, you can see an overall staff CPD passport. So by selecting a time frame, whether that's all time or within a term or within a year, for instance, you can see all of the activities that have been logged both in and out of the GTT platform. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, each school, college or group that signs up gets access to their own GTT advisor. That's a member of our team whose job it is to help you implement the GTT in a way that's suitable to your context. Now, we've covered a little bit about school and college leaders here, and if you're a leader of a group of schools or a trust, for instance, you can see all of the school or college level data that each of the coordinators can on a per school basis. So that helps you get useful information about skills gaps and areas of strength in certain schools or colleges within your group. So how do you implement the GTT then? We've got a suggested route of implementation, and for teacher, school, college and group CPD alike, we often use this analogy of a gym membership. So how would a gym membership fail to work? Well, you might go into the gym and you've got access to all of these great machines. You might jump on the same cardio machine every time or do the same weights exercises at exactly the same intensity. Now that will help you get to a point, but you soon find that you plateau. And where the GTT differs slightly from other CPD options out there, the GTT offers this range of machines, the courses, development cycles, the video observation and more, but also included is a personal trainer. The GTT advisor acts as this in this role, but also the student surveys and the school environment and leadership survey tool can really help you in this regard as well. They help every Great Teaching Toolkit teacher put a plan together to achieve specific and focused goals, which are going to help improve your practice and ultimately improve the learning of your students. So a suggested implementation route in an example case then is where each teacher starts with a student survey to get a baseline, and from there each teacher can select a priority area based on the feedback that you receive. Then that teacher might go into a course linked to that element. That'll help understand more about the underpinning evidence and principles. And it'll also give some strategies that you can select and adapt in your classroom using development cycles and ideally working with one or more trusted colleagues. You might even at this time use the video observation tool to do some self or some peer reflection. And eventually, after some trial and some learning, we can come back and repeat the student survey that we did at the start to find out, is it actually working? We expect one of those cycles to last maybe a term, but that'll differ from place to place. And we can then, once we've answered that question, is it working, either repeat that cycle with the same element and try and improve again, or we can move on to a new area of practice and focus. It does all depend on your context and team though, as I've said before. There are some other ways of doing this. Your school or college might have a set priority, a focus for a term or for a year for all staff. So you might set them away using an element level survey and focusing specifically on one course, for instance. Teachers can then make a strategy around that course and track their progress to see whether what they're doing is making a difference. And there's another approach, which is kind of a free range approach, where each teacher gets this sort of hypothetical gym membership and they can go in and find their route through it. They can find what machines they want to use and how they want to use them and just go for it. Now, some of those ideas will be right for certain contexts and others won't work in all or any context. But ultimately, there are lots of ways to roll it out, and much will depend on your team and your specific context. And as I've said previously in this video, we can help point you in the right direction because we've seen lots of schools use the GTT so far. So we've got a good flavour for what works in what context, and we can set up a conversation between you and your advisor. Finally, then, how do you go about using the GTT? So a starter account is free to create in the platform, and it gives a flavour of how the GTT can help you. You get unlimited access to the student surveys at no cost, and you get time-limited access to some of the courses so that you can see a little bit about how they're structured. But the premium license options, these full functionality options here on the slide, at the school or college level, costs obviously depend on the number of teacher licenses you would like, but it starts from only £49 per teacher for a year of CPD. And on a group level, we're able to provide a bespoke quote for you, again based on the number of schools and the total number of licenses. But if you're an individual who just wants one license, that includes everything apart from the school environment and leadership survey, and it costs £299 per year. But you can either contact us or visit our website for more information, and one of our team will be more than happy to help you.